Have you ever trusted a headline so completely that you never stopped to ask whether any of it was true? A story has been circulating online for years now. Divers discovered a 4,000-year-old temple on the ocean floor near the Philippines. It supposedly predates every known civilization in Southeast Asia. The claims spread across social media like wildfire, millions of shares, passionate comment threads, national pride on full display, and almost none of it holds up under scrutiny. That's not an insult to Filipino history. Filipino history doesn't need invented temples. It's extraordinary on its own. But separating what's documented from what's fabricated requires patience. It requires a system. It requires the boring, unglamorous work of verification. And that process reveals something far more fascinating than any clickbait headline ever could. Let's start with the claim itself. No peer-reviewed archaeological journal has published findings of a 4,000-year-old submerged temple in Philippine waters. Let's say no named marine archaeology team has taken credit for such a discovery. No coordinates have been provided. No excavation reports exist in any academic database. The UNESCO Underwater Cultural Heritage Program, which tracks significant submerged sites across the globe, has no record matching this description. That absence is telling. When a legitimate underwater discovery occurs, documentation follows a rigid chain: site survey, photogrammatic mapping, artifact cataloging, radiocarbon dating, peer review, publication. Each step leaves a paper trail. This claim leaves none. Zero. The story appears to originate from content farms and social media pages that specialize in sensational historical narratives. Many of these pages mix genuine archaeological news with fabricated stories designed to generate engagement. The algorithm doesn't distinguish between truth and fiction. It measures clicks, and emotionally resonant claims about ancient civilizations generate enormous numbers of clicks. One detail makes this story particularly sticky, though. Truly, it touches on something deeply felt, and understanding why requires stepping back several decades. Well, the Philippines has a complicated relationship with its own pre-colonial past. Centuries of Spanish colonization, followed by American occupation, created a cultural narrative that often framed Filipino civilization as beginning with foreign contact. School textbooks for generations emphasized the arrival of Magellan in 1521 as a starting point. Pre-colonial history was compressed into a few paragraphs. Vague references to barandays, brief mentions of trade with China. That framing left a gap. A hunger when stories emerge claiming ancient Filipino achievements that rival or surpass neighboring civilizations. They fill that emotional void with tremendous force. The desire is legitimate, the history is there, but the specific temple claim isn't part of it. And here's where the systematic, unglamorous truth becomes more compelling than the myth. Because the real archaeological record of the Philippines is staggering, and most people have never heard about it. Wait a second. The Taban Caves in Palan contain human remains dating back approximately 47,000 years. That's not a social media rumor. That's based on uranium series dating conducted on a frontal bone fragment cataloged as Taban Man, studied by researchers including Robert Fox of the National Museum of the Philippines in the 1960s, and further analyzed in subsequent decades. The Calao Cave in Cagayan Province yielded something even more remarkable. A small foot bone, a third metatarsal, was found in 2007 and later identified as belonging to a previously unknown human species, Homo luzonensis. The dating placed it at around 67,000 years old. This discovery was published in Nature in 2019. That's one of the most prestigious scientific journals on the planet, not a Facebook page. Nature. The Philippines doesn't need invented temples. It has an endemic human species. Now, pay attention. The Laguna copperplate inscription, discovered in 1989, dates to 900 CE. It's written in Old Malay with Sanskrit loanwords and references to places and debts. This single artifact demonstrates that pre-colonial Filipinos participated in complex legal, economic, and linguistic networks spanning Southeast Asia. The Butuan archaeological sites revealed wooden boats called balangay dating to around 320 CE, based on radiocarbon analysis. These are among the oldest watercraft found in Southeast Asia. They didn't appear by accident. Building ocean-going vessels requires accumulated engineering knowledge passed across generations, systematic knowledge, to be honest, measured, tested, refined. The Monongol jar from Palan, dated to around 890 BCE, depicts two figures on a boat, interpreted as a journey to the afterlife. That's sophisticated symbolic thinking preserved in clay. Each of these discoveries followed the same tedious process: excavation, documentation, laboratory analysis, peer review. Months becoming years, becoming decades, no shortcuts. Why does the fabricated temple story spread faster than any of these genuine discoveries? The answer is structural. A single dramatic claim with a clear narrative, "Divers found a temple that changes everything," compresses into a headline perfectly. Genuine archaeology doesn't compress well. The Kalau Cave footbone required over a decade from discovery to species identification. That's not a headline, that's a timeline. Social media rewards immediacy, emotional clarity, binary framing. Archaeology operates on uncertainty, probability ranges, and conditional language. Researchers say approximately and suggests and consistent with. Content farms say proves and changes everything. The human brain responds to certainty, even false certainty. Especially false certainty, because it removes the discomfort of not knowing. There's a pattern worth examining across Southeast Asia, truly South. Similar fabricated claims have circulated about Indonesian, Thai, and Malaysian archaeological sites. Sunderland conspiracy theories propose a lost continent beneath the South China Sea. These stories share structural DNA. They take a grain of geological or archaeological truth, the existence of a now submerged land shelf called Sunda, and then attach invented civilizations to it without evidence. The formula works because the geological fact lends credibility. Sunda existed, sea levels rose, land was submerged, all true. But land was submerged is a far cry from an advanced temple civilization was swallowed by the ocean. The gap between those two statements is filled not by evidence, but by desire. Filipino historians and archaeologists have been pushing back against this dynamic for years. The work is painstaking. Grace Barreto Tesoro at the University of the Philippines has published extensively on Philippine archaeology and heritage management. Victor Paz led excavations at Kalau Cave. These scholars spend careers building knowledge one fragment at a time, one soil layer at a time, one radiocarbon date at a time. Their work doesn't trend on social media. It sits in journals and conference proceedings, accumulating slowly into a picture of the past that is far richer and stranger than any invented temple. Consider what systematic research has revealed. The Philippines was a hub in maritime trade networks stretching from China to India centuries before European contact. Philippine gold artifacts from the pre-colonial period show metallurgical sophistication. The Surigao treasure, a collection of gold items found in Mindanao, includes pieces dating to the 10th through 13th centuries. The craftsmanship is extraordinary. These aren't primitive trinkets. They reflect accumulated technical knowledge and aesthetic traditions developed over long periods. None of this required fabrication. It required shovels, brushes, patience, and funding. The real obstacle to understanding Philippine pre-colonial history isn't a lack of spectacular sites, it's a lack of sustained investment in archaeology. Funding for excavation and preservation remains limited. Many sites are threatened by development, looting, and natural erosion. The systematic work of protecting and studying these sites gets far less attention than a viral hoax about a submerged temple. That asymmetry matters. Every hour spent debunking fabricated claims is an hour not spent on genuine research. Every donation flowing to a content creator pushing fake history is money not reaching actual archaeological projects. Here is the uncomfortable arithmetic. A fabricated story reaches 10 million people in a week. A legitimate archaeological paper reaches 10,000 in a year. The ratio is staggering, 1,000 to 1. That gap doesn't close with better headlines, it closes with cultural infrastructure. Museums, educational programs, documentary projects, community archaeology initiatives, boring stuff, spreadsheet stuff, grant application stuff, the kind of work that never goes viral but slowly, irreversibly shifts how a society understands itself. Think about it. The Philippines doesn't need a mythical sunken temple to claim significance in human history. It has Homo luzonensis, a species found nowhere else on Earth. It has the Balongai boats, evidence of maritime engineering predating many European seafaring traditions. It has the Laguna copper plate, proof of literacy and legal complexity. It has gold, trade networks, burial traditions, and a linguistic diversity suggesting deep, layered histories of migration and cultural exchange, all documented, all verified, all waiting to be more widely known. Moving on. The distance between a lie that flatters and a truth that humbles is the distance between entertainment and understanding. One feels good for a moment. The other builds something that lasts across generations. History doesn't belong to those who invent the most dramatic version of it. It belongs to those who do the slow, meticulous, unglamorous work of uncovering what was there all along. Let's say the past doesn't need our myths. It needs our attention.